YouTube. Okay. It's kind of gone a bit yellow. Interesting. I like it. It's a bit like a filter. I didn't put the filter on, but I haven't selected a topic for this video, so I'm going to do what I did a minute ago with another video I made. Excuse me, I'm just clearing around my desk. And I'm just going to go like, oh, trauma. Particularly generational trauma. Trauma. Something that most of us have an experience with on different levels, for sure. It could be as small or, perceivedly small, okay? I mean, the emotional reaction and the mental reaction of something as small as, me using the word small, as perceivedly small as somebody's parents splitting up when they were young. As perceivedly small as that can have exactly the same level of emotional and mental impact on somebody as somebody who was sexually abused when they were younger. So while in our reality we would perceive the sexual abuse to be worse than somebody's parents splitting up, yes, clearly there's a real world difference there. What would you rather? But on an emotional and mental level, there's no yardstick of comparison. Both those people could play out emotional and mental trauma throughout their life until they decide to recognize that happened, and then work through the belief systems that they have around that trauma and work through the emotions that are literally stored within their bodies because they never processed what happened. So bringing that love and that awareness and expression to the energy in motion inside of the body, inside of the cells. Like literally there's cellular memory. And so trauma is something that stays with us until we decide to recognize it. And even after we decide to recognize, work through it, whatever way that might be. My personal experience with my trauma has been psychology, has been women's work, has been body work, breath work, NLP, meditation. There have been so many things that I have done to dig that up, and for me, a lot of my trauma made me feel unworthy. That didn't just show up in one way. It wasn't like I felt unworthy of, a partner or whatever. It was like I felt unworthy in my career. I felt unworthy to show up and be myself. I felt unworthy in so many ways, and that impacted my life, and it impacted my abundance, and it impacted my ability to feel joy. And so once I started to work through those things, it's like my connection to the world around me wasn't so clouded. It's like more expansion and more love and joy. And sure, I've had some really hard experiences in all that. Some of it came up and through my physical body for me to heal physically, right? Our bodies are a conduit of everything that's happening internally. It's like, here's the external world, you can see me, I'm physical, I'm hard, I've got a hairbrush here. this is the physical world externally, and this is the communicator between the internal world and the external world. So what happens when I start to dig up the emotions and the thoughts and everything around my trauma? Well, this starts to show what's happening. In our current medical system, we are shifting into understanding that more. But I've literally had to heal through physical ailments in order to heal my own trauma. And so just bringing it back to the fact that my book with things to talk about literally had trauma/generational trauma, because I haven't touched on the generational trauma bit so much the same as everything that I've just talked about. But the generational trauma part is recognizing that what happened to my mum is something that's lived in her and her cellular body. And then as she's had me, she's passed on memories. And my grandma, like, I was literally an egg at one point inside of my grandma's womb, inside of my mum. So we are so intimately connected, not consciously, but unconsciously. We have all sorts of connections, and bringing awareness to what's going on unconsciously or even consciously of, I'm going to use my my sister who has Indigenous Aboriginal lineage, and talking to my nan on that side, so my step nan, about how she had, was literally her grandma, I believe, or her mum, was ripped from, I think it was her grandma, was ripped from her family at a very young age and sexually abused, right? And then she's grown up and then had her daughter, and then would tell the grandchildren to pretend that they were, I think it was like Indian, or like told them to pretend that they weren't Aboriginal because of this trauma of being taken because of who they were. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to try and create these videos and just get whatever wants to come out, and just trust that that they're kind of shorter videos. And then if you have any questions, like, please, I'm going to do this because it's cool. Please pop your questions down here. Because I'm just going with it at the moment. I'm just going to start talking about whatever comes up, and I'd love to expand on anything that you have to ask. All right. Till next time.